Well, this is not actually a pitch for the ICO. I'm just going to address what we're actually doing and what is our exchange doing. Basically, I come from an institutional background. I used to be institutional financial product sales. I sold derivative and all type of exotic products to institutions and hedge funds. And basically, our approach into building this exchange was to ask institutions and tell them, well, why aren't you in crypto? Yeah? And the main answer there is saying, well, crypto does not operate within what we're used to operating. So a hedge fund is usually looked after by a regulator, and he has an operating framework. And that operating framework today with the existing exchanges, well, they don't operate the same way. So I'll show you, for example, this is like a trade life cycle, right? This is like your normal hedge fund needs to do a trade, so they need to place it through varieties of custodians, clearing brokers, executing brokers, etc. And these things have an actual meaning into the value chain, in the supply chain of actually making a trade happen. For example, one of the most important things that a hedge fund needs to have before executing a trade in an asset like crypto asset, they need to have, for example, a custodian. A custodian is a third party that is looked after by all type of government agencies, etc., and that makes sure that the asset manager does not have the private key and removes all that risk, etc. So there are governance issues and stuff that are basic, but they stop institutions into getting into the crypto space. Another thing would be that, like, you onboard someone to trade. Like for me in exchange, I'll be KYC and all type of people, like retail investors. I mean, my exchange is also open for retail investors, but it's mostly geared towards institutions because of the level of service that we provide, of the level of the machinery that we have behind, and our matching engine, etc. It's institutional grade stuff. But obviously anyone can sign up and trade. So basically, the KYC process is a two-way process. I mean, when you onboard a hedge fund, the actual hedge fund needs to onboard you as well as an exchange. And any institution here, I don't know if there are any market participants here, like any practitioners, they would say that we also need to onboard that exchange. So that's it. Anyway, so basically, we identified bottlenecks and we're solving them one by one. So CryptalDash, so this is just to show you kind of the trade cycle and the fact that today exchanges are not really responding to this need. You need to understand that if institutions get into crypto, we're talking about a $2 trillion market cap and even more. Because an institution not only has asset under management, but they also have leverage from regular financial institutions, okay? So that we could replicate pretty much the same volume model as we would have, for example, maybe in Forex would be too much, but in other asset classes. So basically our exchange is a one-stop solution towards other exchange. So basically we're working on things like, well, literally like, basically accessing third-party exchanges through one dashboard, right? We're working on that through harmonizing the onboarding process across varieties of main exchanges. This is why we created, for example, the Exchange Operator Association, and we're trying to work on that. Because these are, exchanges work on volume. Our game, in the name of our game, we're not technology companies like, you guys would be, etc. We're a volume eater, okay? We want to get as much volume from everyone as possible. This is how we create liquidity. This is how we get space for market making. This is how we create value, okay? And exchanges are becoming very important because that's the most obvious link today into the financial system, okay? That's how money transits, that's how value transits back and forth from the crypto space into, Wall Street or regular, that's the bridge. And we want to build that bridge as strong as possible and to onboard as many players as possible, especially the institutions. So we're really building that. And we're building an ecosystem for it. Right now we're fully working with the Gibraltar kind of regulatory environment because that's the only place in the world where there is law for blockchain businesses and for exchanges. There's an actual written law. etc. And that's a starting point for us, okay? So this is the type of thing we're doing. We're building a very strong platform, obviously a very good matching agent. I mean, our CTO has been building exchanges for the past 25 years. He's a real guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's his trade to build exchanges. I'm more of a sales guy. I build bridges between institutions. I try to build also commercial relationships between CryptalDash and other exchanges that are not really thinking the same way we are, but they understand that we can aggregate volume, we can work on stuff that will better and will add value to the overall ecosystem, okay? Because some exchanges just find themselves, I don't want to name names, but they started something and they did very well up until now, etc. But they find themselves in a kind of regulatory bottleneck. They need to move away from Japan because, etc. They need to go to hide somewhere, etc., etc. And you cannot run $1 billion business by hiding. I'm sorry, this was never done before, and it will not be done today. And I don't believe in miracles. This is especially the exchange business. As much as I would like to, believe in all type of research and development ideas, etc. An exchange is a real P&L business. It's one of the oldest businesses in the financial sector. It's thought of. People have, there is no innovation to be there. You just need to play by the rules, try to aggregate as much volume as possible, and bring as many possible into the game as possible. And this is what we're doing with CryptalDash, and we're building up until now. We are at the stage right now where we built. I was going to do a demonstration, but unfortunately, we have a beta, so you can go to CryptalDash.com and actually access our beta. But basically, technology has been built, regulations being taken care of, and we're working with a bunch of institutions, but also a bunch of retail investors and other exchanges in order to get things, as a building block in order to be able to onboard tomorrow with no problem other active hedge funds in varieties of financial areas. That's it, our crowd sale is on. We're not really pushing our crowd sale because we know the value that we will provide. We're a utility token. So basically we're on. You're welcome to participate in the crowd sale, ask questions if you feel like. Yes, sir.
You already have a beta running.
Yeah.
And you're doing an ICO.
Yes, correct.
So you're giving out a token. Why don't you just do fees if you're almost done with your beta?
Repeat the question, please.
Yeah. So you're saying,
why the token?
well, we're a tokenized model, similar to Binance, for example. So we like to be tokenized in that environment. We don't want to be, obviously a lot of people say, well, exchanges are profitable, why do crowds? We like the distributed type of model. And by the way, if you go to our community, our concept is that we can't open our source code because you'll hack us, but we can open our operations. So basically we have people speaking to the community in all their business units. So we have business units owners, like we have the marketing, the dev team, the relationship management team, etc. And these guys are really participating in the community. I mean, I think some of the community members are here. We're really like a two-way type of project and really community building type of project.
One other question?
Yes, sir.
How are you different to Binance, for example? What does make you so much,
Well,
what's the pitch? Why beta?
Well, I tell you,
Repeat the question.
why are you different than Binance?
Thank you.
The big difference point here between, first of all, Binance today, they make $3 billion volume a day, we make zero. Okay? That's a one point. Okay? The second thing is that tomorrow Binance, the second thing is that tomorrow Binance cannot be onboarded by any hedge fund. Because a hedge fund, in order for them to onboard you, you need to be regulated somewhere. Okay? So that's the main difference. The day Point72 and Steve Cohen and Soros, etc., will start trading crypto, they can't onboard Binance because they're not allowed to deal with Binance. Unless Binance changed their regulatory, if I was Binance today and wanted to block way for guys like me entering the market, is to get myself regulated as much as I can. I get my game straight. Because right now, if regulators are attacking someone, they're attacking exchanges. Because that's, for them, that's what's fueling this whole industry. the fact that you're able to transfer value from fiat to crypto, etc., seamlessly, and to be able to trade, etc. So that value transfer mechanism, they want to hit that. So this is our main difference between Binance. In terms of technology, I think we're very similar. We're actually trying to be much, much better. Because we have the learning curve of Binance, we can see what they've done, etc., so we can allocate resources in order to. But I mean, the exchange technology, make no mistake, the exchange technology is the oldest technology. And by definition, a matching engine is like a wine. You don't want to drink a wine that is full of, that was, bottled yesterday. You want to drink like a semi-mature wine. And it's similar to matching engines, because a matching engine needs to be debugged. So the more time the matching engine is running, the more solid matching engine you have. So learning curve in exchanges and running exchanges is very important, and we're learning from that.
So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Amir. Really interesting.